The second bill, Your Excellency, is the Appropriations Bill for the year 2026-2027. This bill, Your Excellency, was also introduced by the distinguished member for Alego Usonga on behalf of the Budget and Appropriations Committee of the National Assembly. They held extensive public participation within and outside the House during consideration of the estimates. Your Excellency, a number of changes have been effected by the committee following those public participation exercise. This bill also actualizes the Division of Revenue Act, which you assented to only a few days ago, and therefore it divides money amongst the various state departments for the national government, and also provides for funds for the judiciary, which is now currently funded at 30.8 billion, which has gradually risen from 16 billion or thereabout in the year 2022 to the current 30.8 billion in the financial year starting Wednesday next week. There is also funds, Your Excellency, for the legislature, which has also been funded to a tune of 50 billion for the 4 votes of Parliament. Your Excellency, amongst the biggest gainers in the appropriation for the year 2026-2027 is the Ministry of Education and all the sectors under the State Department for Education, including the Teacher Service Commission, Your Excellency. The third bill this evening, Your Excellency, to receive your assent is the Finance Bill 2026. This bill, Your Excellency, was introduced in the House as required under the PFM Act. It was brought initially as a draft by the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury, who is former minority leader in the National Assembly, Your Excellency. When he came to read the budget, when he came as required by the Constitution, he brought it to the House by the 30th of April. Thereafter, it was published before the House went on recess. That recess period, Your Excellency, allowed the House to undertake extensive public participation on the bill. The Committee on Finance, led by the distinguished member for Molo, the Honorable Kuria Kimani, undertook extensive public participation in 13 counties. We also received over 100,000 written memoranda from different individuals, corporate entities, and our business community, Your Excellency, and other individuals. The committee also engaged severally a number of entities for a full 2 weeks, Your Excellency, while going through the bill. The bill initially had 56 clauses. By now it has 54 clauses, Your Excellency. We lost 2 and a few others were introduced along the way.
How many again did you say the clauses were?
Initially it had 56 clauses when it was brought by the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury. Today it has 54 clauses.
We had some member of Parliament saying there was a clause 169. Was that true?
That, Your Excellency, may not be the finance bill for 2026, Your Excellency. Probably another piece of legislation. So, Your Excellency, after extensive public participation, the committee also initiated a number of changes to this bill, which, Your Excellency, you have been briefed about, and we request that you brief the nation about at the appropriate time. But allow me, Honorable Your Excellency, just to mention 2 aspects of it. One of them is that there is no mobile money tax introduced, because as National Assembly, we took a lot of time explaining that to the public, because those provisions are not contained in this bill at all. Your Excellency, there are also no provisions amending any land laws in this bill, as was initially said in the public, particularly in the social media. And the committee also took time to explain that to the public. so that, Your Excellency, there's no single proposal to amend land laws or to introduce any levy relating to land under the Finance Bill 2026. Your Excellency, conversely, this bill attempts, and in many ways indeed does, introduce efficient ways of tax administration as opposed to myriad of new taxes. The bill proposes ways in which the Kenya Revenue Authority will make it easy for them to collect tax, Your Excellency. The last bill to get your assent, Your Excellency, is a bill called Food and Feed Control and Coordination Bill. This bill, Your Excellency, emanated from the Cabinet in the year 2023. It was introduced in the House by the leader of the majority party, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, was passed by the House towards the end of 2023, sent to the Senate.
Did you say that? Did you say something about land taxes?
Your Excellency, yes, the Finance Bill has not introduced any tax
on freehold land and all this.
On any land, whether freehold or leasehold, Your Excellency. As
I thought I had some character in some rally saying there was introduction of. Was that part of this bill or another one?
Your Excellency, the Finance Bill amends the following pieces of statutes: the VAT Act, Excise Duty Act, Business Fees and Levies Act, Stamp Duty Act, Affordable Housing Act, and does not in any way amend any law relating to land in the Republic of Kenya, Your Excellency. It also amends the Income Tax Act, Your Excellency. That's a finance bill. This particular one, Your Excellency, relating to food and feed safety, is intended to control and manage how food is handled for human beings, or human consumption, and also animal consumption in accordance with international standards. When the two houses disagreed, the speakers of both houses appointed a mediation committee chaired by the distinguished member for Tigania West, the Honorable John Kanyuithia Mutunga, and the senator for Bungoma, the Honorable Senator David Wakoli. The mediation committee agreed on a version which was presented to both houses, Your Excellency, and the houses agreed with that version and passed it. It's a bill concerning counties, Your Excellency, and therefore it had to go to both houses. Your Excellency, to give effect to the supplementary appropriation bill and appropriation bill, may I request Your Excellency to now also assent, to now also sign the treasury warrants so as to authorize the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury, Your Excellency, to make the necessary drawings from the consolidated fund so that the money can be withdrawn from the fund commencing tomorrow upon publication of the bill, supplementary appropriation bill, into Act, so that the entities listed there can therefore benefit from the 18.2 billion which is contained in the supplementary appropriation bill, which will become an act of Parliament following your assent and publication into law. There are 4 copies for each, Your Excellency, for the supplementary appropriations and for the main appropriations. Excellency, we will be requesting our Attorney General to, with your consent, to gazette the supplementary appropriation immediately following the assent so that it can come into force. And then thereafter, the main appropriations at the beginning, just before the beginning of the next financial year, is Wednesday next week. Excellency, I seek your consent to resign my commission for the day at this point.
With Your Excellency's assent and the sacred trust it carries, the implementation of the administration's plan gains renewed impetus. Your Excellency, sir, I now invite you to hand over the copies of the acts to His Excellency the Deputy President, the Prime Cabinet Secretary, the Cabinet Secretary for National Treasury for implementation, the Honorable Attorney General for publication into law, and the Principal Secretaries present for implementation. Your Excellency may also graciously present ceremonial copies of the acts to the Speaker of the National Assembly, the leaders of the majority party in both houses of Parliament, and other members of Parliament present, and all esteemed state officials in attendance. Your Excellency will unveil and display an open ceremonial copy of the acts, while other state officials shall bear closed copies. May I now kindly request all members of the Executive and Parliament to resume their seats. And whilst remaining standing, join me in welcoming His Excellency the President.
Thank you very much. Please let's take our seats. Ladies and gentlemen, with my assent to the Finance Bill and into Finance Act now 2026 and the Appropriation Bill Act 2026, Kenya now has both the legal framework and the resources to finance its priorities, create jobs, strengthen livelihoods, and invest in the future under the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Budget is more than an accounting exercise. It is a statement of national priorities. This government serves the ordinary people, the farmers, the border riders, the mama mbogas, the workers, the entrepreneurs, students, and every young person striving for a better future. Let me begin with the Finance Act, which has sparked an important national conversation about taxation, fairness, and development. Before the passage of the bill, Parliament conducted extensive public participation, received submissions from more than 170 organizations, and over 100,000 individual citizens and opened digital platforms for Kenyans to share their views and suggestions. Let me state clearly, this law does not raise taxes on ordinary Kenyans. Instead, it improves fairness by strengthening compliance, closing loopholes, and ensuring that every person and business pays what is lawfully due. We are pursuing tax avoidance, not taxpayers. Offshore schemes, not ordinary wages. And leakages, not livelihoods. Contrary to propaganda, misinformation, disinformation, and fake news, the government did not propose any taxes that were largely alleged. Specifically, there was no proposal to introduce taxes on freehold land, or any land for that matter. There was no proposal to introduce taxes on second-hand clothing or mitumba. There was no change to the rental income tax regime as alleged. There was no proposal to introduce tax on bottled water. There is no new tax on M-Pesa or mobile money. The money you send to your family, your business, or your friends will move tomorrow as it has always done. There is no new tax on mobile phones, airtime, or data. There is no new tax on locally manufactured packaging used for essential products. The Finance Act also supports livelihoods and growth through incentives for motorcycles, electric passenger buses, electric bicycles, solar batteries, and locally assembled mobile phones, making innovation, clean energy, and opportunity more accessible to many Kenyans. To protect our sugar industry, the Act increases duty on imported sugar from Kenya shillings 7 shillings and 50 cents to 40 shillings per kilogram, safeguarding 17 operational factories, sugar factories that is in Kenya, and the livelihoods of 2 million farmers and 10 million Kenyans who depend on the sugar sector. A 6-month tax amnesty. A 6-month tax amnesty will waive penalties and interest on outstanding tax obligations, allowing taxpayers to regularize their affairs while improving liquidity in the economy, in their businesses, and in government. Mortgage tax benefits previously available through banks have now been extended to borrowers from registered microfinance institutions, enabling them to enjoy the same relief that has been available to borrowers in banks. To address concerns raised by returning travelers, including Kenyans who travel abroad and members of our diaspora, we have increased the duty-free allowance from 39,000 Kenya shillings to 260,000 Kenya shillings for gifts and personal effects that Kenyans can buy as they travel or as they come home from their jobs abroad. To progressively reduce our debt burden, projects undertaken through public-private partnerships and our new National Infrastructure Fund will now benefit from reduced taxes, lowering delivery costs, accelerating implementation, and improving efficiency. This is what a fair tax system looks like, one that protects the vulnerable,